Bram Stoker was born in Dublin, in Ireland, on November 8, 1847. His most famous work is Dracula, which he published on May 26, 1897. The influences for his novel came by the work of The Land Beyond the Forest by Emily Gerard, which was published in 1888. One of other Stoker's influences could have involved the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Stoker is alleged to be a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a magical secret order founded in 1888 that practiced different forms of magic like astral projection, scarying, Enochian, and ceremonial magic. It is more documented, however, that Stoker attended their meetings and was good friends with two of its members, so he most likely was exposed to magicians doing ceremonial magic, some of it being potentially black magic. W.B. Yeats, a famous poet and member of the Order of the Golden Dawn, who was good friends with Bram Stoker in 1878, knows about black magic and personally met up with some black magicians and had this to say about them in his 1902 book titled The Celtic Twilight. In it, he says, quote, "I have indeed come across very few persons in Ireland who tried to communicate with evil powers, and the few I have met kept their purpose and practice wholly hidden from those among whom they live. They are mainly small clerks and the like, and meet for the purpose of their art in a room hung with black hangings. They would not admit me into this room, but finding me not altogether ignorant of the arcane science, showed gladly elsewhere what they would do. He said, 'Come to us,' said their leader, 'a clerk in a large flour mill, and we will show you spirits who will talk to you face to face, and in shapes as solid and heavy as our own.' I had been talking of the power of communicating in states of trance with the angelical and fairy beings, the children of the day and of the twilight. And he had been contending that we should only believe in what we can see and feel when in our ordinary everyday state of mind. 'Yes,' I said, 'I will come to you,' or some such words, 'but I will not permit myself to become entranced, and will therefore know whether these shapes you talk of are any the more to be touched and felt by the ordinary senses than are those I talk of.' I was not denying the power of other beings to take upon themselves a clothing of mortal substance, but only that simple invocations such as he spoke of seemed unlikely to do more than cast the mind into trance, and thereby bring it into the presence of the powers of day, twilight, and darkness. 'But,' he said, 'we have seen them move the furniture hither and thither. On the night arranged, I turned up about 8, and found the leader sitting alone in almost total darkness in a small back room. He was dressed in a black gown, like an inquisitor's dress, that left nothing of him visible except his eyes, which peered out through 2 small round holes. Upon the table in front of him was a brass dish of burning herbs, a large bowl, a skull covered with painted symbols, 2 cross daggers, and certain implements shaped like Corinne stones, which were used to control the elemental powers in some fashion I did not discover. The sorcerer then took a black hen out of a basket, and cut its throat with one of the daggers, letting the blood fall into the large bowl. He opened the book and began an invocation, which was certainly not English, and had a deep, guttural sound. Before he had finished, another of the sorcerers, a man of about 25, came in, and having put on a black gown also, seated himself at my left hand. I had the invoker directly in front of me, and soon began to find his eyes, which glittered through the small holes in his hood, affecting me in a curious way. I struggled hard against their influence, and my head began to ache. The invocation continued, and nothing happened for the first few minutes. Then the invoker got up and extinguished the light in the hall, so that no glimmer might come through the slit under the door. There was now no light except from the herbs on the brass dish. Presently the man at my left swayed himself about, and said he could see a great serpent moving about the room, and became considerably excited. I saw nothing with any definite shape, but thought that black clouds were forming about me. I felt I must fall into a trance if I did not struggle against it, and that the influence which was causing this trance was out of harmony with itself. In other words, evil. After a struggle, I got rid of the black clouds and was able to observe with my ordinary senses again. The two sorcerers now began to see black and white columns moving about the room, and finally a man in a monk's habit, and they became greatly puzzled because I did not see these things also, for to them they were as solid as the table before them. And now too I noticed that the man on my left hand had passed into a death-like trance. With a last great effort, I drove off the black clouds, but feeling them to be the only shapes I could see without passing into a trance, and having no great love for them, I asked for lights, and after the needful exorcism, returned to the ordinary world. I said to the more powerful of the two sorcerers, "What would happen if one of your spirits had overpowered me?" "You would go out of this room," he answered, "with his character added to your own." End quote. Now this encounter that Yeats had is very common among black magicians, and has many of the elements that you find in the Dracula novel. From Yeats describing a weird feeling he got when the lead magician stared with his glittering eyes into his own is kind of reminiscent of Dracula using his eyes to put his prey into a trance, to mind control them. Yeats also described black clouds that materialized out of nowhere, that almost demonically possessed him. Dracula in the novel is able to turn himself into mist, and needs blood to exist, like the evil demonic forces need blood from a sacrifice that the likes of Yeats had witnessed, in order for them to exist more into a world. The black magicians believe that blood carries energy within that the demonic spirit uses to manifest a form. Shape-shifting is something that both Dracula and these demonic entities can do as well. The brass dish of burning herbs that Yeats saw were powerful narcotics like hemlock, henbane, black hellebore, Indian hemp, and opium that magicians would burn up in their rituals to contact the spirit world. The fumes from the burning herbs, like henbane, along with sleep deprivation and daily prayer, can cause stupor, hallucinations, or delirium. Some magicians will state that these narcotics mixed in with the rituals will open up their mind and make it more receptive to other worlds that are all around us, but are normally not seen by most people. And that concept is a very good possibility. As Yeats has stated,